Every single day, they refuse to make things right. Their debt grows, not just in numbers, not just in currency, spiritually, cosmically, in ways they will never escape. They thought they were smart, that keeping what was rightfully yours would go unnoticed. That time would bury their betrayal. That silence would protect them. That greed would shield them from consequence. But the numbers never stopped moving. Like interest accumulating on unpaid loans, their refusal to return what belongs to you has triggered divine multiplication. What they took wasn't just money, wasn't just assets, it was energy, purpose, destiny. And now that energy has been set in motion. They thought they could hoard wealth, but what they really hoarded was debt, because what they stole was never meant for them. And what's meant for you, it isn't just waiting, it's growing. Every dollar they kept, every inheritance they blocked, every resource they siphoned. It has doubled, tripled, expanded beyond their control, but not for them, for you. They thought they were getting ahead. They thought they could spend, invest, build, enjoy. But they built on stolen foundation. And now, the cracks are forming. The walls are collapsing. The weight of what they owe is becoming too heavy to bear. They can't run from it. They can't ignore it. The debt will be paid, and when it returns to you, it will not come back in the amount they took. It will be greater. Because divine justice does not return things as they were. It always multiplies. Justice isn't on its way. It's already here. They thought they got away with it, that they could take what was rightfully yours and move on as if nothing happened. But the books are being balanced, not by you, not by any court, not by human hands, by forces far beyond their control. Every single person who touched your inheritance is now being audited by the divine. And the numbers don't lie. The more they stole, the more they lose. The more they hoarded, the faster it slips away. The more they refuse to return, the more brutal their consequences become. At first, they won't see it. They'll think it's just a rough patch, bad luck, an unfortunate turn of events. But one by one, things start crumbling, businesses failing, money vanishing, unexpected debts stacking up out of nowhere. And it doesn't stop there. Their health begins to suffer. Stress, unexplained illnesses, restless nights spent drowning in worry. Doctors find nothing, but they feel it. The weight, the pressure, the inescapable consequences of their greed. They try to hold on to what they took, but their hands are no longer strong enough to grip it, because what wasn't meant for them will never bring them peace. And the irony? The more they try to replace what's slipping through their fingers, the faster they spiral into instability. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to seek revenge. You don't have to demand justice. Justice is already here, and it is personal. Everything they stole must be repaid with interest. They thought they secured their wealth, that they could lock it away, invest it, multiply it, enjoy it. But something is wrong. No matter how much they try to hold on to their money, it keeps vanishing. It doesn't make sense. Businesses that should have thrived are falling apart. Investments that looked solid are suddenly failing. Deals that were guaranteed slip through their fingers at the last moment. It's as if someone is keeping score, because what they took from you was never theirs to keep. And the universe has an unbreakable rule. The books must always balance. At first, they blame the economy. Bad luck, a miscalculation, a minor setback. But the setbacks don't stop. The money doesn't stay. The profits don't last. The opportunities don't materialize. And the losses keep stacking up. One unexpected expense after another. A broken furnace. A lawsuit out of nowhere. A medical bill that drains their savings overnight. They scramble to stop the bleeding. They make desperate moves to restore what keeps disappearing. But nothing works. Because this isn't financial misfortune, it's divine correction. The same wealth they used to feel powerful now turns against them. Instead of security, it brings them stress. Instead of freedom, it chains them to debt. Instead of a foundation, it becomes a sinkhole beneath their feet. They wanted to hold on to what was stolen, but it was never meant to stay in their hands. And now, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, it is being stripped away, not by force, not by revenge, by a law greater than them. The debt must be repaid, and the universe is making sure they pay it in full. Everything they built is falling apart. The house they were so proud of, constant repairs, pipes bursting, electrical failures, unexpected damages. No matter how much they fix, something else breaks. The car they bought, always in the shop. Breakdowns, engine failures, expensive repairs that never seem to end. The businesses they invested in, one by one, they collapse. Partners back out. Profits disappear. What was once promising turns into a financial nightmare. It's as if everything they own rejects them, because wealth gained through theft, greed, and deception can never bring true security. They thought they were securing their future, but what they really bought? Debt, loss, misfortune. Every dollar they stole has transformed into a weight, a burden that drains them instead of elevating them. It doesn't matter how much they replace, how much they repair, how much they try to force things to work. Nothing lasts, because what they took was never blessed. It was never meant to flourish in their hands. They thought they could build a foundation on stolen ground, but the cracks were always there. Now, as they watch their possessions break down, as they sink more and more money into things that refuse to be fixed, as they struggle to hold on to the life they thought they secured, they are finally realizing the truth. They didn't just steal money. They stole problems, and no amount of repairs will ever fix what was never meant to be theirs. And das indeed, wealth that was taken dishonestly will never bear good fruit. What should have been their breakthrough turns into a dead end. Every door they open leads to another obstacle. Every risk they take ends in another loss. They struggle to move forward. They push, they force, they fight, but it's like something unseen is holding them back. And while they wrestle with failure after failure, your path is clearing. You don't have to force things, you don't have to chase, you don't have to manipulate. Doors swing open for you. Opportunities find you. What was delayed is now being returned. Because while they were hoarding stolen resources, the real wealth was always meant to flow to you. They can't stop it, they can't block it, they can't reverse it. The more they try to keep what isn't theirs, the deeper they sink. And the more you move in alignment, the faster you rise. This isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This is divine order. And no stolen fortune can stand against what was always meant to be yours. They told themselves it was for the family. That by keeping your inheritance from you, they were protecting generational wealth. That you didn't deserve it, didn't earn it, wouldn't know how to handle it. That keeping you from what was rightfully yours was somehow the responsible thing to do. They convinced themselves they were acting in the best interest of the family name. But the truth? They were hoarding out of greed. They wanted control. They wanted power. They wanted to ensure that the wealth stayed in their hands, not yours. They believed that by locking you out, they were securing their own future, that by keeping you beneath them, they would stay ahead. But instead of growing stronger, they have become weaker. Their financial security is crumbling. Their savings are being drained. Their assets are depreciating. The same money they thought they were protecting is slipping through their fingers. Because wealth that is hoarded in deception will always become a curse. They thought they were building a fortress, but all they built was a prison, a vault they sealed shut so tightly that now even they are trapped inside. They wanted control over the family's resources, but now they're watching it vanish. Unexpected bills, legal troubles, financial instability that they never saw coming. And while they suffer under the weight of their own greed, you are rising. You were never supposed to struggle. You were never supposed to be kept in lack. And now the universe is restoring what was stolen. The irony, had they simply done the right thing, they could have kept their own stability. But now, the very thing they tried to protect is the very thing that is destroying them. Because wealth meant for you will never bring peace to them. Every dollar they kept is now multiplying into spiritual debt. Every year they refuse to make it right. Their own losses have doubled. And now, it's too late to stop what's coming. The walls are closing in. The weight is becoming unbearable. The very foundation they stood on is beginning to crack. They see it happening. The financial instability, the unexpected disasters, the slow, steady collapse of everything they built on stolen ground. And yet they still resist, still hold on to what was never meant to be theirs, still fight to keep what is already being pulled away. But the longer they hold out, the harsher the judgment becomes. What could have been a clean repayment has turned into a full-scale reckoning, because karmic debt doesn't just get paid back, it gets multiplied. And now, as their world unravels, they are finally realizing the truth. They weren't just stealing from you, they were stealing from themselves, and the price they must now pay, it is far greater than anything they ever took. And now, let us take a brief moment to honor the chosen among us. Here's to the ones who see the world differently. The silent guardians, the watchful souls, always awake, always vigilant. They don't fit the mold, and they wouldn't have it any other way. While others walk familiar paths, they forge their own, fighting unseen battles, illuminating the shadows. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. But if you feel it deep within, you'll know this is meant for you. No masks, no pretense, just truth. The Obsidian Inner Order is here, a place where kindred spirits gather to share wisdom, to connect, to transform. Over 450 strong, united not by conformity, but by purpose. If you're ready, you know where to find us. The link is in the description. If not, that's perfectly fine, because we're always here, watching over, making a difference in ways unseen. Here's to those who walk their own path, not for recognition, but because it's who they are. Here's to you, thank you. They fought so hard to keep what wasn't theirs. They hoarded, they manipulated, they resisted every opportunity to make things right. And now, the more they fight, the faster they lose everything. They thought keeping your inheritance would make them powerful, that blocking your blessings would secure their own, that standing in your way would keep them ahead. But the universe has other plans, because the moment they chose greed over justice, they triggered a divine reversal. The very thing they tried to block is now the very thing that is undoing them. And while they spiral downward, you are rising. The energy they fought so hard to suppress is now pushing you forward. Doors are opening. Opportunities are flowing. Wealth is aligning itself in your favor. And here's the irony. Even the people who supported your claim are experiencing blessings. Those who stood by you, their businesses are thriving, their finances are growing, they are walking into abundance simply by aligning with the truth. Meanwhile, the ones who clung to deception, their lives are unraveling, their stability is collapsing, their attempts to hold on to stolen wealth have backfired. It's as if the universe itself is making a statement. What is stolen will never prosper. What is divinely assigned will never be denied. They thought they were securing their fortune, but in reality, they were accelerating their own downfall. Because you cannot steal destiny, you cannot block what was meant to be, and you cannot outrun divine order. Your elevation was inevitable. And now, their downfall is too. Drop a comment. The debt is overdue. if they ignored every warning, and now their downfall is unstoppable. They thought they were winning. They took what was yours. They blocked you from receiving what was rightfully meant for you. They betrayed you without hesitation, without guilt, without fear. But betrayal always comes at a cost. They didn't just steal money. They didn't just keep an inheritance. They cut themselves off from divine favor, and now the doors that once swung open for them are locked. The people who once stood by them are walking away. The luck they once counted on has dried up completely. They thought they could take from someone chosen and walk away untouched. But just like Judas, they have come to learn, selling out someone marked by destiny is a guaranteed way to lose your own. One by one, the opportunities they took for granted are slipping away. Deals falling apart, business partnerships breaking down, personal relationships turning cold, because when you betray a chosen one, you don't just betray a person, you betray the divine hand that was guiding you. And now, that hand has been removed from their life. They are watching everything they built collapse beneath them, not because someone is working against them, not because they are being punished, but because betrayal comes with a spiritual price, and it must always be paid in full. They see it happening now. They see how everything they once valued is turning against them, the same way they turned against you, because what they took from you was never just money. It was peace, it was trust, it was a connection to something greater. And now, they are the ones being betrayed. People they once trusted are lying to them. Partners they depended on are abandoning them. Loved ones who once stood by them are suddenly against them, because that's how it works. When you betray a chosen one, you don't just lose their favor. You lose the favor that was covering your life. And no amount of wealth, no amount of power, no amount of strategy can restore what has already been taken from them. They made their choice, and now they are paying the price. They fought, they schemed, they did everything in their power to block you from what was yours. They convinced themselves they had won, that keeping your inheritance meant permanent victory. But what they never realized, your blessings were already sealed. No amount of greed, deception, or manipulation can override a spiritual contract. Your inheritance wasn't just money, it wasn't just assets, it was divinely assigned. And anything that carries divine purpose can never be stolen for long. They could pass it down to their children. They could hide it in trusts and bank accounts. They could rewrite legal documents, forge signatures, and move things in their favor. But the truth remains, it will never bring them prosperity, because what wasn't meant for them will never work for them. Instead of security, it will bring them stress. Instead of abundance, it will bring them loss. Instead of legacy, it will bring them ruin. They thought they could rewrite destiny. They thought they could reroute what was already marked for you, but you cannot take what belongs to someone chosen and expect to keep it. They have two choices now. Either they surrender it willingly, or the universe will rip it from their hands and return it to you. It may not happen all at once, but it is happening. One by one, the very things they tried to keep are leaving them, because no one can claim what carries your name in the spiritual realm. What's meant for you will always find its way back, and by the time they realize this, they will have nothing left. At first, they didn't want to get involved. The ones who stayed silent, the ones who watched from the sidelines, the ones who didn't steal from you directly, but also didn't defend you. They thought it was none of their business, that staying neutral would protect them, that as long as they kept their distance, they wouldn't be affected. But divine justice doesn't work that way. Now, even they can see it. The slow unraveling, the undeniable consequences, the way everything the guilty ones touched is falling apart, and suddenly they want nothing to do with it. The same family members who once defended them are now stepping back. The ones who ignored you are watching closely now. They aren't just witnessing justice. They are experiencing their own awakening. Because some truths cannot be denied. They are realizing that your family's downfall is not coincidence, it is consequence. One by one, they are distancing themselves. Some of them out of fear. They don't want to get caught in the storm that's brewing. They don't want to suffer the same fate. Some of them out of guilt. They see now that they were wrong to stay silent. That ignoring the truth made them complicit. And some of them, they are aligning with you. They are waking up to the deception. They are understanding the weight of what was stolen. They are realizing that you were never the problem, they were. And as they back away from the guilty ones, they are moving closer to the truth, because no one wants to stand on a sinking ship. And now that justice has made itself undeniable, even those who once turned their backs on you can no longer pretend they don't see it. The lines are being drawn, the truth is being revealed, and those who ignored you, they are finally realizing which side they should have been on all along. They tried to block you, they stole, they hoarded, they built barriers to keep what was yours out of your hands. But they never realized every act of resistance was only fueling your rise. You were never meant to beg for what is yours. You were never meant to fight for scraps. You were never meant to stay at their mercy, because your inheritance was never in their control. Every time they refused to give you what was rightfully yours, every time they moved in deception, every time they withheld what was marked for you, they activated something they could never undo. Divine multiplication. You aren't just getting back what they took, you're getting more. What should have been a simple return has now turned into supernatural compensation. The delays, they only increased your rewards. The betrayals, they only widened your territory. And the years they spent keeping it from you, they only set you up for a comeback they will not be able to ignore. Because you are rising. While their world collapses, yours is expanding. While their fortune diminishes, yours is being restored with interest. While they sink under the weight of their own deception, you are walking into elevation. This is not just payback. This is divine justice at full force. What they thought they could keep from you is returning in ways they never imagined. Your inheritance is no longer in their hands. It is being placed directly in yours, not because you fought for it, not because you chased it, but because it was always meant for you. And now there is nothing they can do to stop it. This is your rise. This is your restoration. This is your supernatural gain, and they will have no choice but to watch it happen. This was never just about wealth. This is about balance, justice, and power shifting back into your hands. What was stolen is not lost. What was delayed is not denied. What was blocked has only been gathering force, waiting for the moment of divine release. You were never begging. You were never lacking. You were never beneath them. You were simply waiting for the inevitable. They fought to keep what was never theirs, blind to the fact that their greed only fueled your rise. Every deception, every delay, every attempt to hold you back only made the return greater. And now, the weight of their own theft is crushing them. Your elevation is not a reaction, it is a law in motion. Their downfall is not your burden, it is their own creation. You don't need revenge, you don't need to chase, you don't need to prove anything. What belongs to you is coming back multiplied. They feel it slipping, you feel it approaching. They are bracing for loss, you are preparing to receive. This is the moment where the roles shift, where you stand on solid ground while they scramble for footing. And when it all plays out, when the reality becomes undeniable, when the last piece of stolen wealth crumbles in their hands, they will know they were never in control. You were.